attend Cascade Hills Church. Is that correct? Very good. How long have you lived in the area?
Since I was born in 1965. Very good. So I will move over.
Yeah, we're on camera. All right, thank you. Very good. They want to see us on camera here.
I turned 60 in 3 weeks, so y'all be praying for me.
Life begins at 60, Viva said. So Barbara says he's one of the youngest ones here. So how long have you been in IT, would it be, or would it be computer work?
I graduated from Georgia Tech back in '87. That's when I started doing computer work. After I graduated, I went to work for the National Security Agency, the NSA, up at Fort Meade, Maryland. I was doing cybersecurity starting then. Didn't know it. Back then it was not really called that. So I've been doing it for close to 40 years. Wow. Probably one of the most tenured cybersecurity guy in town, if not the. But what I decided to do, I retired about 4 months ago. Realized that a lot of cybersecurity scams and hacking attempts were happening toward the older community. So I decided to put this little presentation together. Y'all are my either fourth or fifth audience, and I'm just honored to be here. Very good. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, well, let me just say this. It's so good to have Mr. Ramsay here. We're thankful for his presence. We're also thankful that he's going to be able to share some things with us. Let me encourage you. Barbara had run off some sheets of paper. Yep, we have them there. I think Barbie's got them, so we're going to pass them out and see you. Oh, I'm sorry. Hand them out at the end. My bad. Okay. My bad. But we're going to have we'll have some PowerPoint for you. I'm just going to pray, and then we'll get cranked up. Yes, you going to say something? You good? Okay. Let me pray for you, all right? Lord Jesus, I thank you for this time together. Thank you for Mr. Ramsay and his willingness to be here. Thank you, Lord, for his 40 years experience in the field of cybersecurity. And, Lord, that we have men and women like Ramsay who are protecting us even now. God, I pray that we would learn to be safe online, that we would be good stewards of our time online. And God, that we would learn to recognize those pitfalls and those dark corners that nefarious people on the other side of the world potentially might want us to crawl into and to go down and in order to take advantage of us. Lord, I thank you that Mr. Ramsay is here to warn us and to show us just some of those rabbit holes and pitfalls. And I pray, Lord, that we would be able to take home some information that would help us to be better stewards of our time online. Lord, I do pray that we're looking at the right stuff online and that we are actually using it as a tool for maturity. And I pray for Ramsay today that he would be empowered by your Holy Spirit to say exactly what each one of us needs to hear for the purpose of keeping us safe online. We love you, Lord. We thank you for this time together. In your name we pray. Amen.
All right. Thank you, sir. I'm going to need to be able to see the screen. So tell me where I can stand. Am I okay right here? Okay. Perfect. So if you want to go forward a couple of slides, that would be great. All right, you can just go to the next slide. All right. What we're going to do today, and let me give you a heads up. The writing may be a little small. So if you can't see the writing, you may want to move forward, which will be just fine. I'm not going to call on anybody, so don't worry about being up front. I'm not going to ask anybody to pray or anything. So we'll leave that to Pastor Eddie. Y'all are good to go. All right, first thing I want to do is give you a quiz. This quiz is going to be 5 questions. And what I want you to do is if you can answer yes to one of the questions, give yourself a point. At the end, you will have between 0 and 5 points. Don't need to write anything down. You can just keep track of your score in your head. But I just want to get a feel for what y'all are thinking this morning. All right, so if you go to the next slide for me. All right, here's the first question. If you have ever gotten an email from someone you did not know or an organization that you had never heard of. And to get the emails to stop, you clicked unsubscribe or remove me from your mailing list. Give yourself 1 point if you've done that before in the past. Number 2, if you've ever gotten a text message from someone you did not know or an organization you had never heard of and you wanted it to stop, and it says in the text message, type stop. If you've ever done that, give yourself 1 point. Number 3, if you've ever gotten a pop-up on your computer screen when you were browsing the web, and to get the pop-up to go away, and it could be a pop-up that says something like, you have won, or you have been infected with a virus. If you've ever gotten one of those and you have clicked close to make it go away, or in the upper right corner you can click the little X to make the box go away. If you've ever done that, give yourself a point. If you've ever gotten an unsolicited telephone call and they've been asking you questions and you answered yes to a question, all you did was say yes. A lot of times what they will do is they will call you and they will say, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? And you will say yes. If you've ever done that, give yourself a point. Last but not least, have you ever been on social media like Facebook and you've seen one of those posts that says, what's your pet's name, or what's your favorite food, or where did you go to high school? If you've ever answered one of those posts on Facebook or social media, pumping you for personal information, give yourself 1 point. All right, now let's see how we did. Right now we're in Vegas, all right? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, so we're not gonna share your scores with anybody, all right? Did anybody get 5 points? Okay, got a few 5 points. All right, good job. How about 4 points? Okay, 3, 2, 1 point. Did anybody get 0 points? Okay, well, this is not like bowling. You don't want a high score. You want a low score. It's like golf. So those of you who got 1 point or 2 points, you're doing great. Those of you who got 4 or 5, all right, y'all need to pay attention because y'all are doing some stuff that's might get you in a little trouble. Now, my goal today is I'm not going to get in the weeds. I could talk about this stuff for days on end. But Pastor Eddie's got a sermon coming up at 11, so we got to be done. I'm going to keep it at a very, very high level. And hopefully you'll be able to learn some things that you can just keep in the back of your head that will help you avoid some of the scammers in the future. If you have any questions, let's hold them till the end. This whole presentation is probably going to take 30 minutes, so we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. So just keep them in mind, all right? Let's start out with phone scams. What happens on the phone? All right, next slide. There are a lot of different scams that you see out there and a lot of techniques that the scammers use. A lot of times you'll get a phone call from someone that says, we need you to verify some information. Could you verify your account number or your last 4 of your social security number or your birthday for us? We're with the bank and we just need you to verify your information. There are also some scams to where the caller ID will look like a valid number. It'll look like it's actually coming from, say, the Social Security Administration or your bank, but it's really not. They know how to fake that. There are also a lot of scams that are going to say, we're going to send you a PIN number. We want you to tell us what that PIN number is that we have sent you or read to you. Those are scams, all right? So how do you prevent yourself from falling for telephone scams? Now, I see a few of you are taking notes. Pastor Eddie's going to make available to you this whole presentation. He'll email it to you. So if you've got an email, I think I sent you a PDF and a PowerPoint. You can send out either one. So if you're taking notes, just pay attention. You'll have a hard copy. You can. Uh-oh. Exactly. How do you prevent yourself from falling for these phone scams? Well, there's several ways. The most obvious is no person is ever going to call you and ask for a PIN number, for example, or a password, or your bank account number. If they're a valid entity, they're already going to have that information. So they're not going to be asking you to verify anything like that. If you get a phone call from, let's say it's your bank, it appears to be your bank, and they have you concerned, hang up the phone, call your bank directly with the phone number in the phone book or on the back of your card, or go to the bank's website and get one of their reps on the phone by you calling them. And never ever hit redial. One thing these scammers do is they're faking a phone number. So if they say they're from your bank and you hit redial, it's not going to dial your bank. Even though it says it's your bank on the caller ID, it's going to call the scammer bank. So dial the number directly if you feel like you need to follow up that something may truly be happening. All right? Best thing to do is never give any personal information to a caller that you're not expecting to call you. If you don't know them, don't give them any personal information. I'll tell you what I do. I don't answer my phone unless it's from one of my contacts. I'll let it go to voicemail. Now, I told you they can fake the phone number so they can make it look like it's one of your contacts, but still a good first line of defense is if you don't recognize that number, they don't need to know you exist, so don't answer it. Let it go to voicemail. One thing I'm going to tell you in the next couple of slides, though, when it comes to your voicemail, I don't want you to have your voice on your voicemail. I don't want you to say your name on your voicemail greeting. I'll tell you why. If I forget to do that, because I don't think it's on one of the slides, remind me at the end, but it's coming up later. I'll tell you why. I don't want you to have your voice on your voicemail greeting. All right, next slide. There's another phone scam. I mentioned it earlier, the can you hear me scam. What they will do is they will call you and say, hey, I'm sorry, we have a bad connection. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? And you say, yes. Not a good thing. And I'll tell you why. What they've done is they've recorded you saying yes. So now the scammers can say that you agreed to whatever they want you to have agreed to, because they now have a recording of you saying yes. So if somebody ever asks you a question like, can you hear me? Don't say yes, say, I can hear you. That one's hard to remember because we're used to giving short answers, but it's very dangerous. All right, next slide. This one with the advent of artificial intelligence is really popular right now. It's called the Grandma, I Need Money scam, and I'll tell you how it works. You get a phone call in the middle of the night from your grandchild. The caller ID is your grandchild's phone number. And in your grandchild's voice, you hear, please don't tell Dad, I've gotten in a little trouble. The police have picked me up doing something I shouldn't have been doing. Can you get me $400? I'm going to send a friend to your door. If you could give him $400 if you've got it, that'll get me out of a jam. And please don't tell Dad. With AI, it only takes 3 words of someone's voice, and they can create any conversation they want. That's why I told you earlier, on your voicemail greeting, don't use your own voice. They can listen to your voicemail greeting and make you say anything they want you to say in your voice with just AI. It only takes 3 words for them to be able to figure that out. That's what they've done with your grandchild. They've gotten their voice somehow, your phone number, and you're not talking to your grandchild. You're talking to a scammer who is typing a script into the computer. So, how do you prevent that from happening? And I know I'm probably driving your camera people crazy the way I'm pacing. It's just the way I do it. Okay. No, back a slide. Back. Not forward, back. Go back 2. Yeah, there you go. Good deal. If you feel like it really is your grandchild calling that needs help, first thing I want you to do is hang up the phone and call them back on their phone number. Dial their number or go to your contact list. Again, don't hit redial because it's just going to go to the scammer. Dial your grandchild by dialing their number directly, or who knows phone numbers nowadays. Go to your contact list and dial them that way. That's going to truly get your grandchild or your child or whoever it may be, and not the scammer. Again, don't hit redial or don't hit callback. Another thing you can do is you can have a secret code word with your family that proves they are who they say they are. At lunch today, get with your grandkids. Tell them we need to come up with a secret code word that only we know, and we're never going to share it with anybody but with ourselves. And I'm going to ask you that code word over the phone, and if you tell me the right code word, I'll know it's really you. Or another thing you can do is ask them a very specific question that only they would know. For example, last time we ate together, what did we have for dessert? All right, a scammer's not going to know that. So you just want to prove the identity of the person, all right? But with AI and them being able to replicate conversations, it's scary. So you have to go the extra step there. All right, next slide. I know we live in a society where the whole world is connected, but if I get a call from someone and they speak not good English, so to speak, I tend to hang up. Most of the scams come from other parts of the world. Exactly. India, Nigeria, believe it or not, Ukraine. Places where they don't really talk the way you and I do. So if they're not talking like us, I answer the phone because I have to hear them, but I immediately hang up. All right. All right, next slide. If you get a phone call from a number and the caller ID says unknown caller or potential spam or missing caller ID, don't answer it. All right, let it go to your voicemail. And again, what are you going to do when you get home today with your voicemail greeting? You're not going to use your voice. You ladies, you could have your husbands or your brothers or your boyfriends or Pastor Eddie record it for you. Okay? You don't want to use your voice, and you don't want to say your name. What I do is on my voicemail, I use the one that came with my phone, just the generic greeting. That way, if they happen to get your voicemail, they're not going to be able to get any information off of that voicemail greeting. All right? So I want you to do that when you get home. Don't do it during Pastor Eddie's sermon. He's going to bust you. Wait till you get home. Another thing is if you answer the phone and you immediately hear a click and then somebody starts talking, they've dialed you with an auto dialer. Hang up when you hear that click. Those things drive me crazy. All right, next slide. All right, that's pretty much it for the phone. Now let's talk about if you're on your computer, if you're on your browser on your computer, all right? Some things to look out for. This is one I told you about. This is one of our questions in the quiz. You may get a pop-up on your screen like that says you've been infected. Or it may say you have won. don't call that number. Don't close the pop-up by clicking X. Don't close your browser. By doing any of that, if they have put a virus on your computer, and by you just getting this pop-up, there's a potential they're trying to do that. If you close the little window with the X or shut down your browser, that virus could then be promoted to run on your computer. So if you ever get a pop-up like this, don't ever click anywhere in the pop-up. Immediately turn off your computer by either unplugging it or holding the power button for 3 minutes until it shuts down, all right? That's the best thing to do. That way you're going to stop it in its tracks. Then when you reboot your computer the right way, run your virus protection program. Hopefully you've all got Norton or McAfee or one of these virus scanners on your computer. Immediately run that and you should be okay. But the thing to remember is don't click close and never click inside of one of those boxes. All right? Yep. Don't do it. Shut off your computer with the power. It'll take a little while to reboot because you're not shutting it down properly, but you are stopping that virus from being able to do any more damage. All right, next slide. Again, never click a link in the box. Don't close the pop-up. Simply turn off your computer and turn it back on. That's all you got to do. And then run your scan, and you should be okay. All right, next slide. Let's talk a little bit about email. And I'm going to get a drink of water real quick. All right, you all know that there are a lot of spam emails that come into your inbox every day. There are a lot of different types. One of them is called the "your package is waiting" scam, but we weren't able to deliver it. We need you to verify something. Or click here to see the progress of your package. All right? It's a scam. There's been some suspicious activity on your bank account. You need to click here to connect with customer service. That's a scam. One of the popular ones now is you have unpaid tolls. Any of y'all gotten that one? Yes, yeah. I don't even know of a toll road within 500 miles a year. Maybe down in Florida. Yeah. So you have one scam. And there's a pretty funny email in here I'm going to show you from Bill Gates, or from Mark Zuckerberg that I got. There are a lot of make money from home type scams. All right. You're going to get a lot of stuff in your email box, and hopefully I'll be able to show you some ways to avoid falling for these things. All right, next slide. What are some warning signs you need to look at when it comes to emails? One of them is, look at that from address up there. It's just a strange at eflyby.com. That does not look like a U.S. Postal Service email address. It's probably going to be at USPS.com. The from address right there tells you that ain't coming from who I'm supposed to think it's coming from. Just delete it. All right? Next slide. A lot of times with the emails, what they're going to do is they're going to make it sound urgent. Like you got to do something quickly. They want you to act before you think. This was an example of that. Urgent notice. Your package is being delayed. It's urgent. Must be an important package. And you want you to click on that link. Look at that link. That's the strangest looking. That doesn't look like a UPS or FedEx link. All right? That's a scam. Again, delete the email. Next slide. A lot of times they're going to try to make you feel threatened. Like this one. Oh, I've got some unusual activity on my Chase account. I need to take care of it quickly before they drain me. Click verify account to go immediately to your account. Again, that's not going to take you to Chase. That's going to take you to their fake website where they're going to steal your information. Be careful of emails like that. I don't even have a Chase. All right, next slide. I got this one the other day from Mark Zuckerberg. He wants to give me $1.5 billion. All I have to do is click that link or email that address back. Well, thank you, Mr. Zuckerberg. All right. I don't know how he knows I exist, but, you know, what do they say? If it's too good to be true, it probably is. There you go. Delete it. Get rid of it. Some of the others are work-from-home scams. This one, they're using very poor grammar. Clearly, it didn't come from one of us. All right. Hello, I am a staff in the college. A professor of medicine shared me a link for students. I mean, that doesn't even sound, that's a crazy run-on sentence. If it sounds like it's coming from someone who's not from around these parts, again, delete it. All right. Next slide. I love this one. These people don't even know how to do a mail merge. Look at that. Dear full name. My name ain't full name. All right, my name is JR. A professional company is going to know how to do a mail merge. So if you see something like that, again, it's a scam. Delete it. Next slide. Just some last minute tips when it comes to emails. Don't click unsubscribe in an email that you're not expecting. Again, it's going to tell them that you exist. By you doing that, now they know they've got a valid email address. They're going to keep bugging you. All right? Best thing to do is don't even let them know that you exist. Delete the email. Some of your email systems you can mark it as spam. That helps the email service provider know what to be looking out for, so it's okay to do that. All right. Delete the email. Kevin right here and I were in cybersecurity. He still is at Total System. I can't tell you the number of people that would forward me an email and say, "Is this a scam?" By them forwarding it to me, now I actually have the potential of getting infected with whatever was on the email. So don't forward emails like that. Just delete them, all right? Get them out of your system. And if you happen to have accidentally clicked one of the links, again, what did I tell you to do? Turn off your computer at the power source, reboot it, and you should be okay. All right, next slide. Let's talk about text messages, all right? They drive me nuts, all right? Now, these scammers are really sneaky, all right? So I'm going to read you this correspondence going back and forth, all right? Because they want you to think they're your friend. Look at how easy they took advantage of this lady. Marie, her name is Marie, she gets a text message. It says, "Hey there, Ann. I've missed seeing you. How are you? Happy Valentine's Day, by the way." And she replied and said, "I'm sorry, this is not Ann." The scammer then says, "Oh, I'm sorry, my contacts got messed up. Who is this?" And she replies, "No problem, this is Marie." He says, "Oh, hey, Marie, my goof. Are you still living at whatever? What's that place's name again?" And she replies, "I live at Spring Harbor." Who is this? Then the scammer replies, "That's right, Spring Harbor. You got a third floor balcony." And she says, "No, I'm on the ground floor." He then says, "Oh, I was thinking you and your husband had a balcony." And she replies, "No, it's just me. John passed away." And then the scammer says, "Oh, I'm sorry. how does your dog like the dog park there at Spring Harbor? And she says, I don't have a dog. Who is this? All right, what has she done? She's made 7 mistakes. Back up 1 slide for me. First thing she did, back up 1 slide, is she replied. What that did was that let the scammer know, I've got a live fish on the line. This is a valid phone number. So now her phone number has gone into the scammer's database of potential victims database, and that gets shared. Second thing she did was she told him that her name was not Ann. She told him her name was Marie. So now he knows not only her phone number, but that her name is Marie. Then she told him where she lived at Spring Harbor. All right, next slide. Then she told him she's on the ground floor. Easy to rob. He now knows that her husband has passed away, if she even had one, so she probably lives alone. Now he knows she definitely lives alone because she doesn't have a dog. She's probably a widow that lives there by herself, doesn't have a dog for protection, lives on the ground floor at Spring Harbor. She's given away a lot of information, where if she had just ignored the text in the first place and deleted it, none of this would have happened. So these people are pretty clever. There's some pretty dumb text message scammers out there, and I'm going to share some of them with you. All right. I love this one. Your order will be delivered tomorrow. Look at the address that they want you to click on. https://scamchargeback.com. So the person replied and said, hey, you might want to change the URL so it's not scam chargeback next time, buddy. You're pretty dumb. All right. They get dumber. Next slide. I love this one. Nathan, if you have a diagnosis of ovarian or female type cancer, Nathan? All right. We won't even go there. Next slide. I love this one. And I blurred out the picture. Hey, sweetie, what are you doing this Valentine's Day? And the guy just replies, go ahead and send me the virus link. And the scammer does. This one's a little bit of a long story, but it's pretty funny. All right. They're these scammers, and they were sending out text messages to people. And what they were doing was they were saying that they were the police, and they have arrested 2 people who stole a package off of this potential victim's front porch. In other words, they had arrested some porch pirates. And the package contained prize money. $7,000 in prize money. Next slide. What they want is the police is saying, we'll give you your prize money, we'll get the package to you, but all we need is $500. People fall for this, all right? Next slide. So what the guy does is he says, all right, I'm a little bit suspicious. Can you send me a picture? Thinking they would send a picture of the package. The scammer sent this. Next slide. So he says, no, can you send me a picture of the men you've arrested? You said you arrested these men who stole the package off my front porch. Can you send me their picture? So the scammer says, yeah, let me get back to you. I will eventually. So eventually he gets this email, this text, with these 2 guys in jail. This guy's still got a cell phone with him. They've still got their watches. They don't look exactly miserable to be there. At least this guy doesn't. He looks like Kevin Rearman a little bit, don't you think? Right there? Next slide. The scammer then sends this picture of these ladies that they've also been arrested. They're part of the package porch pirates team. She looks a little like Barbara, don't you think? Anyway, they don't look exactly miserable to be in jail either. Well, if you look at the picture A little bit closer. Photo opportunity. Go to the next slide. I zoomed in. This says, feel free to step behind the bars and take your picture in the Midway Brig. What the scammers did was they Googled people behind bars, and they happened to get, next slide, pictures of people that were tourists on the USS Midway in the brig. These guys, they think they're being creative, but they're pretty dumb. So, when it comes to text messages, how do you prevent yourself from falling for these things? Best practice. If you get a text that you're not expecting or from someone you don't know, just delete it. All right? Act like you didn't ever get it in the first place. Don't ever give your information out like Marie did to someone you don't know. Don't give them a lick of information. Even replying to the text message, you've given them information. They now know they've got a fish on the hook, so to speak. Never click a link in a text message unless you are 100% certain of who sent it. Remember we had the quiz at the beginning about unsubscribe? Don't click unsubscribe to get off of a text message chain, because what you've done then is, again, you've told them you exist, so they know they've got a valid phone number. Same with emails. Don't ever click unsubscribe unless it's something you subscribed to actually in the past and you want to get off of the list, right? And again, if you have to follow up, just like with emails or with phone calls, call the entity that you think they are directly, using their number in the phone book, or go through the website. Don't stay on the phone or on a text message chain with these people, all right? If they say they're your bank and you're worried, call your bank. All right. Next slide. Social media. This is an easy one that people fall for all the time. Look at this question. My grandma used to be a great cook. She always cooked my favorite meal. What would she cook for you? And if you'll notice, 9.2 thousand people liked it, and over 1,000 people replied with their favorite food. What are they doing? They're building a database about you so they can more easily become you, so to speak. All right, next slide. My favorite season is winter. I'll bet it's yours too. Prove me wrong. What's your favorite season? 2,000 people replied with their favorite time of year. Again, they're building a database about you by just stuff you're putting on Facebook. All right? Next slide. Type your birth date into the comments below and watch the background change. Woo! 541 people actually typed in their birth dates on this one. The next one scares me. The number of hours you have left to live is the same as the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. How long do you have left to live? 83,000 suckers put their last 4 in the comments of this post. If you feel like, and I know you can get caught up in social media sometimes, you need to reply to these things. Make up something that's not true about yourself, all right? So if they are building a database about you, at least it's going to be wrong, all right? Ideally, don't answer these questions at all, but it's easy to fall for it. It really is. It's tempting not to sometimes. So I understand. When it comes to social media, a lot of times they will advertise things that you may want to buy. I saw some boots that I had to buy a couple of months ago on Facebook. What did I do, though? I didn't click buy it through Facebook. I actually went to the manufacturer and went to their website and bought it that way. So if you see something on social media that you really want to purchase, don't buy it through social media. Go to the actual website of the person who is selling the product. Or better yet, go to Google and Google the product, and you may find it cheaper somewhere else. A lot of people do number 3. They post their vacation plans on Facebook. and they post their vacation pictures while they're on vacation. What have you done? You've told anybody looking at your post that you're not home. Easy time to rob you. Think about that. And I'm telling the kids this all the time. Anything you post on the internet is there forever. Forever. Everything gets recorded. So if you don't want the whole world to know something, don't put it on the internet. All right? And never ever use TikTok. TikTok, I'm going to get off on a little tangent here, but TikTok is developed and owned by China. Most of you know that. What they can do is put what's called a Trojan horse on your phone if you use TikTok. That can then record everything you're doing, every password you're typing in, every screen you're looking at, your bank account statement, every phone conversation that you have. It can be recording that information and sending it to China. So, be careful of the apps that you load, particularly TikTok and ones owned by China. Okay? Best thing is just don't put them on your device at all. It's not worth the risk. Last but not least, this just shows a lot of times when you log on to places like your bank or your healthcare provider, all you have is a user ID, which is typically your email address, and a password. This slide just shows with quantum computing and with artificial intelligence how very quickly they can figure out your passwords. So you have to use something besides passwords. Passwords are no longer considered secure. One thing you can do is you can use what's called a passphrase, which is a group of words. Pick like 3 words and use that as your password, like horse, apple, summertime. All right? Make that your password. The longer you make it, the harder it is going to be able to figure out. And you'll probably be able to remember those 3 words. Or better yet, use what's called multi-factor authentication. I don't need to go into that. I think y'all know what it is. But that's where they'll send you a PIN number each time you try to log on or an email. Turn on multi-factor for everything you can. All right? That's actually not even secure anymore, but it's better than nothing. All right? It's better than nothing. And I think there's one more slide. Yeah, this is just a summary. I'll just read over these real quick, and then we'll get to some questions if we have time. On the website or on any apps on your phone, again, use strong passwords, use multi-factor authentication, and avoid TikTok at all costs. And there's another one. Is it Temu, Kevin? Yeah. Stay away from that one too. When it comes to text messages and emails, never click a link that looks suspicious, or if it came from someone you don't know who it is. Never click unsubscribe or type in stop on a text message unless you know who it came from. Best practice when it comes to emails and text messages and phone calls, just ignore it. All right? If it's that urgent, they'll get in touch with you another way. On the phone, never say yes to a question. Because like I told you, they've recorded you saying that. Don't use your name and your voice in your voicemail greeting. All right? Use the generic one that came with your cell phone. On social media, don't answer those stupid little questions that we just went over. They're building a database about you. If you have to play the game, make up something. And on your browser, on your web browser, if you get a pop-up that you weren't expecting, turn off your computer from the power source, turn it back on. Never click close. Never click the close button or the little X. All right? Turn off your computer, turn it back on, and run your virus scan. I think that's it. I know I went sort of fast, but I know there's a lot to cover. I tried to keep it real high level. So, Eddie, we got time for a few questions? Oh, great. All right.
So I think just for the people online who are watching, whatever questions you ask, if you can repeat the question.
Okay. Or do we want to have another microphone and one of y'all can? We'll, we'll be like Phil Donahue show.
Who's first? Go ahead. 5 of them. What do you want to ask? How do you clean up your mess online?
One thing you can do is make sure you're using a malware protection like Norton. I use Norton. You can purchase, and it's a little costly. I think it's around $100 a year, but it's worth it a lot of times. I know I use Norton for everything. I have their identity protection. So if someone were to steal my identity, they'll clean up the mess. I also have the home title protection, through Norton. So if someone were to try to steal my title from the Muskogee County, wherever it is down there, I'm covered. That doesn't happen a lot here in Columbus, but it's starting to. These home title thieves, you see the ads on TV all the time. So you want to have your malware protection turned on. I won't go into detail. You can research it, but you can do something called using a VPN for your browser. And also, let me go a little bit into credit cards too. All right. When it comes to credit cards, anything you purchase through your credit card using a debit card immediately comes out of your checking account. Immediately. If you purchase something using your credit card, it's going to, of course, take time, 30 days or longer for that statement to process. So you're going to still have the funds, and you can, if there's some fraudulent activity, let your credit card company know, and typically they will cover the expense. But debit cards are not the same. So whenever you go to the grocery store or out to eat or whatever, make sure you're using your credit card and not your debit card. Now, the way you can remember it, debit card will want you to put in the 4-digit PIN. You know, that's your debit card, right? Use your credit card. Another thing you want to do, and this is an ATM scam. If you use ATMs to get cash, put your card in the ATM. Don't do the tap it feature. I know they've got a feature where you can just tap your card at the ATM. Don't do that, and I'll tell you why. When you put your card in the ATM and do your transaction, you're not going to leave without your card, all right? Because you know to get the card out. When you take the card out, that ends that transaction. But if you tap it, the transaction doesn't end until you actually click on the screen in the transaction. A lot of people forget to do that. Somebody's waiting in the wings and will come up right behind you. They're still using your transaction and doing things with your card. So just so you can remember to end the transaction, put your card in. Don't tap it. All right. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
No, Larry, let me get this too.
How do you differentiate an unexpected pop-up on your computer from a pop-up, an ad pop-up in a social media platform or a news platform? Because things pop up all the time. And you say never click in the box. I mean, can you differentiate those? I was on New York Times website the other day, and every time my finger would touch the screen, an ad would pop up. Yep. And I just hit the X to close it down. But that happens a lot. And so it can be confusing.
You being on the valid New York Times website, those should be okay. However, a lot of times if you go to suspicious websites, you're going to get a lot of those pop-ups. The ones I'm more concerned about are the ones that want you to click on something instantly, like you have won or you've been infected. Those are the ones you want to be really careful of. Also, and I think they're free. In fact, I know it's free. For your browser, you can download an add-in that's called a pop-up blocker. They'll actually block all those pop-ups from coming up in the first place. I love those because pop-ups used to be really popular years ago. They still are out there a little bit, but 10, 15 years ago, that's all you'd see. They'd drive you nuts. You'd have pop-up on top of pop-up on top of pop-up. Yeah. Get a pop-up blocker. Just Google it. They're free.
Could you? I'm sorry. Go ahead. And I'll ask mine.
What about using an incognito browser?
Those are pretty safe.
Do they
Yeah.
help?
Incognito is where it's just a little more added security about what it sends to the website that you're going to. Also, when you're done with that browser, it will actually delete all of the information that it has saved about you. It deletes your history. That's a good thing to do.
So could you speak a little bit to AI? Because I have seen some videos in recent days where they'll put a voice with someone that you may like. Just speak a little bit to AI and how they're making videos, and they make it look like that individual is actually speaking. You understand what I'm saying? Like they're actually saying something directly to you. I've seen that on a number of occasions.
Yeah. Well, I talked earlier about the Grandma I Need Money scam. That's exactly what they've done. They've got somebody else's voice, probably your grandchild's off of their voicemail, and they're now calling you using AI. They have scripts that they can run. They can type in the words, and it'll immediately generate in whoever's voice they want that voice. Same with the video. They still look mighty fake to me. I don't tend to fall for the AI videos, but if you're not looking real closely, yeah, the best thing to do, again, number one rule, if you don't recognize who it is, just don't answer it in the first place. If it's a lot of times, as we get older, we sometimes get lonely, meet people online, or we think we've met a person online. A lot of times it's going to be a scammer, and they're real good at sweet talking you. If you've met anybody online, and it is a real person, be careful. Be sure you vet that person. Invite them to church. If they're not going to come to church with you, do you really want them in your life? If they're not even going to visit. Yeah, Kevin.
Kevin, hold on just a second. I want them to hear you on here.
So as you're talking about the video and the AI and everything, is as he indicated, have a code, because they can call you on FaceTime, and as they get better with AI and everything like that, they can make it look like I'm speaking and everything, and so really have that code and everything. And online, always check your accounts and everything. Use your credit cards, like he's saying, and everything, because a debit, that money's gone, and it'll take a while to get it back. And then if you feel like your password has been hacked, sometimes people use passwords for multiple sites. So it might get hacked in Facebook, your password, and that password might be the same password that you use for your bank accounts too. Mm-hmm. So change all those passwords and everything. We've gone at Global Payments now to 12 characters and everything, and I saw, it's harder to hack that password, but it could happen and everything. So those are some tips and everything.
Again, though, I think the simplest rule is if you don't recognize the person, don't answer the call, don't reply to the voicemail, don't reply to the text. Just keep your doors closed.
Hey, could you speak a little more to social media scams with, let's say, widows, that are more vulnerable?
Yeah. Again, you've got to vet these people. Unfortunately, we all don't have some of the resources that Kevin and I do. We can go in and look at people's background fairly easily online. Invite them to church. Have if you're an older widow, for example, maybe have your son-in-law physically talk to them. I don't know a whole lot about that because I'm so attractive. I have just women knocking at the door. No. You laugh. Thank you. All right, we're done. No. But you just got to be careful. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Yeah.
Well, one of the AI, I was watching YouTube the other day, and in the profile, whatever you've watched in the past, and I like to watch videos like Jordan Peterson. Well, there was a video of Jordan Peterson, and I could tell that his voice was a little bit different than what he sounded like. It had most of the timbre, if you will, in the tone, but it was a little different. And when I looked closer, the words were not matching up with his lips. It was very close, but the words were not matching his lips. But for a little while, I thought, this is Jordan Peterson. Maybe he's got a sore throat or what. But I really thought it was him. But someone online, on YouTube, was faking Jordan Peterson.
Yeah. What worries me, too, about this new AI and faking people saying things they didn't say is with politics.
Yeah.
With the next presidential election, they're probably going to have pretty convincing video. They had a few at the last election. They actually had Kamala Harris saying something that actually sounded intelligent, and we knew that was, I didn't say that.
What if somebody is saying, they already have all the information about me, and everybody knows everything about me and everything, and I can go on TikTok or I can go on all these different sites, and they know everything about me.
There is a lot of information already out there in multiple databases about people, but the way I look at it, it's like if you've got a leaky pipe under your house, and it's been leaking for a year, are you going to keep letting it leak and pay more money to the water company, or are you going to get it fixed? Better to plug the leak, even though there's been one, than to let it keep going. I mean, that's just off the top of my head. All right. One more lady. Let's the ladies first.
What about Temu?
I don't know a lot about it. I just know it's owned by China too.
Oh.
So, yeah, Temu, TikTok.
Because all their products are so cheap and it's very tempting.
You get what you pay for.
Oh.
I have mistakenly ordered from Temu, and it never came. But they already had my money.
Yeah, here. Okay.
Real quick. Could you, you say that about TikTok and Temu, but aren't all our social media platforms and other applications, aren't they doing the same thing already?
They're all like Facebook, TikTok. They're all collecting information. Yes, because like I said, anything you type in is there forever. The big difference between TikTok, Temu, and the rest is Facebook, these other apps, TikTok, they're not putting malware on your phone. They're not putting what's called a Trojan horse on your phone that's listening to everything you do or say. These Chinese companies, we can't even break into the algorithm to figure out if they've done that, but we suspect they've done that. With the American companies, they have to follow certain laws. They're not going to do that. One thing that bothers me about Facebook, though, that they do that I don't like, is they record your keystrokes as long as you're in the application. So if you start to type a comment and then say, oh, that was a little rude, maybe I ought not to say that, and back it out, they've still recorded your keystrokes. So you have to be careful. Yeah. I know. Yeah, she's saying if you're just having a conversation about something, like Starbucks coffee, and you're on your phone, the next thing that pops up is a Starbucks ad. A lot of times, it's just a random event, that you're noticing the correlation, because we as humans tend to notice correlations, things happening together. But a lot of times, yeah, they're monitoring possibly what you're saying on your phone. Alexa. I know a lot of people have Alexa in their house. I don't want it listening to me. I'm sorry. Not that I have anything to hide, but it's not their business. It's mighty convenient. But don't you just say, "Hey, Alexa," to get it to listen to you? Well, she's listening.
One quick question about TikTok. One quick question about TikTok. I totally agree with you. But how do we actually get that through to youth? They are so much, not they in general, I'm not stereotypically speaking.
No, you're right.
A lot of youth are just like, well, they have our information anyway. They're not monitoring anymore than anybody else, blah, blah, blah.
They don't care until they get hacked.
And you said there's no way to see if a Trojan horse is on the TikTok. You said something about the algorithm you couldn't figure out.
Let's just say, because of some security clearances that I hold and held, I can't for certain say, but yeah, there's some stuff on there that shouldn't be there. As for the kids, it's like talking to a brick wall. If you have put TikTok or Temu or whatever on your phone, the only way to get rid of it 100% is you have to reset your phone up from scratch. You're going to lose all your contacts, all your text, all your everything. But the only way to make sure it's clean, because they have a lot of tentacles going everywhere, is to go to Verizon or whatever the company is and have them do a reset of your phone, so it's like it came from the factory. Yeah. Scary times. We got time for one more?
Yeah, one more question. Let me come over there, Joanne. Last question, okay? Jay, are you going to hang around for a little while? Folks have questions they want to ask you individually?
I can until about 11.
Sure, sounds good. Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. I got somewhere else to go.
I have just a question in regards to when you have an app on your, I only use a phone. I don't have one of those other things.
Yeah.
So I have apps, and yes, I've had Temu, but I've also hit delete, remove.
Yeah.
So that doesn't remove it, you're saying?
It may not remove it. If you haven't had
WhatsApp and all of that other stuff, once you delete, you're saying it's there for good?
I'm just saying a lot of these apps that come from places like China, it seems like everything's from China. TikTok particularly, they break the rules. They invade parts of your phone that legally they're not supposed to evade. So deleting the app may not get rid of all of those tentacles. If you're deleting like your banking app or Facebook or whatever, that's okay, because they're American. You just got to keep in mind who you're talking to. If you haven't had any issues though lately, you should be okay. But in the future, don't load stuff like that. Please, just don't. It's not worth it to watch stupid videos. I mean, is it really worth it? To the kids, yes. We're smarter. Sorry, but we are.
All right. Go, sit down here if you will. And so, Mr. Ramsay, thank you so much for being here with us, for helping us. And I think you've convinced me to get I think you've convinced me to go purchase a Norton antivirus or something like that. Yeah. Would that be the number one thing you would say to do if you don't have one?
Yeah, get Norton or there's several other good vendors out there that do it's now called anti-malware for your computer. But you could do the package deal.
Yeah.
The ID Protect, the Title Protect. It all comes together.
Okay.
It's a shame you got to worry about that nowadays, but
What about a VPN, which is a virtual private network?
virtual private network. A lot of your phones come with one already. You just have to turn it on.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Well, thank you so much. If you've got questions, Mr. Ramsay said he would hang around here till 11. And once again, we're grateful for you. Don't forget to take this. We just want to make sure that we show our appreciation to you. Also, he said if there's another group that you may know about that needs to hear this message, that you're willing to go and to speak to them. It'd need to be a group, 10, 15 people, right? Something like that. And but like a ladies group or civic group, anything.
I spoke with the Kiwanis Club in the Rotary. Yeah. Yes, I would love to. Barbara could get you my information.
Yeah, I think we've got handouts back there as well. Addie, could you help me and just make sure that we get those? They're just right back there on the table. That would be perfect.
Yeah, Neighborhood Association, I'd love to do that. Yes, I'm trying to get into Spring Harbor too, but they don't seem to think it's worth the effort. But yes, I would love to. Please.
Spring Harbor, we partner with the Oaks.
I'd love to do it there.
Yeah, okay, very good. Hey, listen, we'll convene back in here and we'll start our worship at 11. I think it's about 15 or 20 minutes from now. What time is it? Anybody got to watch on? 20 till. About 20 minutes we'll start. Until then, you have access to Mr. Ramsay. Thank you so much for being here. We're grateful for you. Let's give him a hand, all right? Sounds good. Yep, thank you, sir. Absolutely. Come on up and talk to him.